All right, well, welcome everybody to today's webinar, Robot Schedule for the Beginners. Basically, we're going to give you the keys to the Cadillac of job scheduling on IBMI with the Robot Schedule product. And I'm very happy to be with you here today. We did record this session, or we are recording this session. And we certainly welcome questions today. There's a question toolbar within the GoToMeeting feature. We also have a couple polls for you. And then at the end of the session, when you leave or when you get the recording, there will be a survey you can take. It's a one-question survey, and all we really want to know is what applications, what business processes are you automating with Robot Schedule? And if you want to share those throughout the webinar too with the question feature, you certainly can. So let's get this thing rolling here. Let's move on to our intro slides. Over to you, Chuck, to talk a little bit about your background and what you do.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Been with Help Systems for about 21 years now, focusing on IBMI and the robot product line, and also obviously our other solutions that we have, like cybersecurity on IBMI. About 30 years, a little bit more than 30 years on the platform, and also very involved with our local user group called QUser. Check it out at quuser.org. And if you're looking for a user group to join, take a look at ours. We've got a good list of presenters, actually a great list of presenters all the way out through March now. So feel free to join us.
So you can be anywhere in the world and join your Minneapolis-based QUser board.
Anywhere in the world.
Wow, that's really cool. All right, well, I'm Tom Huntington, our EVP of Technical Solutions at Help Systems. Been with Help since, 1988. And my first job was to bring Robot Schedule over to the AS400 platform from the System 38 platform. And believe it or not, I used what was called Robot on the System 38 platform. So quite a bit of extensive background with Robot Schedule. I often think there's probably still jobs I set up back on the System 38 that are still running today for the corn milling and businesses of Cargill. Anyways, so today I'm one of the Help Systems executives, still very hands-on with Robot Schedule. There's some things you just don't forget, like work management and backup and all those good things on IBMI, and an IBM Power Champion. So happy to be with you today. We have a big group of you with us. We have our first polling question, Chuck, so over to you on that polling question.
All right, the question is, what's your experience level with Robot Schedule, just in terms of years? So we're not asking you to grade yourself 1 through 10 or something, just how many years have you been working with Robot Schedule?
Geez, I think I'm somewhere in the way between A- and B+, Chuck. How about you?
Well, you know, I can make my way around Robot Schedule pretty good, Tom, but it's really interesting. We're seeing a lot of new users on Robot Schedule, or folks that have been using Robot Schedule for, let's say, the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and have never really dove into some of the more advanced features, or even some of the basic features like how to set up a dependency.
Oh, all right. Sure. Nice.
So let's close the poll and let's see what we've got for results.
Okay. Wonderful. I'm looking forward to this one here. Let's see.
Here you go, Tom.
Oh boy, it is small print, but I can see 0 to 1. We have 42%, 1 to 5, 28%. How about this? I make that window a little bigger for myself.
So 67% less than 5 years.
Yeah, the window's pretty small on my end. Yeah, that's okay. That's what I'm seeing. And then I've got a few longtime people, more than 10 years, 11%, and we have, oh, look at that, no experience too, 14%. So, you know, speaking of no experience, if you don't know IBMI, Chuck and I just did this fantastic webinar last week, and that webinar was, have you inherited an IBMI server? And it's really good, nuts and bolts, basic class, 1 hour webinar recommended. It's on our website. You should be able to go through it. So we have the getting started topic here. Oh, Chuck, you're going to do the agenda.
What we're going to do is we're just going to dive into Just the kind of the basics, navigating around robot. We're going to talk about creating a job and what that's all about, because there's multiple ways you can do that. Green screen, GUI, and a couple other ways. We've got some commands. I'm going to spend some time talking about dependencies for jobs, and then we'll talk about navigating and some advanced topics.
All right, so getting started, let's just jump right into this. Robot Schedule is part of the Robot Automated Operations Solution. When I came to Help Systems back in 1988, we had Robot Schedule and we had AutoTune. Since then, we developed this entire product line kind of fashioned off the mainframe for operations, monitoring systems, performance, capacity, report management. Even today, we've gotten into high availability with Robot HA. So we do actually do that. Today, we're going to focus on Robot Schedule, Schedule Enterprise, Replay maybe a little bit. We'll talk about that just at a high level, and then Robot Alert. This is kind of our scheduling solution and how this all works. So this is put together with Robot Schedule running on IBM I. It is can be run 100% from a green screen if you want. There's also a graphical interface. There's been a graphical interface that's just part of the product for, oh geez, probably at least 14 years now, 15 years in the form that it is. There was one even before that that was just a VB type of graphical interface. We also have browser technology available for kind of a view only mode in our browser-based technology called Insight. That's part of the offering. We have special interfaces into Enterprise One, SAP, running on IBM I. Robot Replay, this is really kind of all I'm going to talk about it, is an extra plugin. We have people who have interactive processes they've never been able to automate. We can learn those 5250 sessions, those interactive processes, and play them back as batch jobs. And the benefit of that is we control the whole process with that so that it is truly an automated process. And then another option and plugin for you is, let's just say you need to interface Robot Schedule and IBM I Batch with Windows, Unix, Linux. We have the ability to put agents over on those other servers, and now I can run an enterprise scheduling solution from Robot Schedule. Now, Robot Schedule has, again, the green screen interface. The 5250 session works just fine. Everything you create there, you can see in the GUI and in the browser technology. So the GUI installs on your desktop. That is what I would call a thick or fat GUI. The browser, sometimes I've cornerly referred to it as a WUI or web user interface, but this gives you ability to see your jobs, do flow charts, and many more things with it. Robot installs on IBM I. The main library is called Robot Lib on IBM I. If you run the enterprise scheduling solution, you're going to have this enterprise scheduler library. It's basically a library with Java type technology in it. We have an import export feature. So if you need to import export jobs from one system to another, you can do that through the merge library. Robot Alert, technically optional, but it does do the email notification from your jobs inside of there. And then Robot Replay Lib is for the green screen automation. Robot SysLib pretty much comes with every robot product. It's installed in the system library list, and it has a bunch of utilities and product features that we use across everything robot. Our subsystem we run in is called Robot Sleeper. We take care of that for you. We just created, that's where that came from. And then there's several jobs that are going to be running in the background, monitoring the schedule, monitoring all the activity, doing forecasting, auditing the system. And then the two enterprise server one and server are related to enterprise scheduling. So that's kind of how Robot Schedule is put together from a high level. When we think about what is Robot Schedule, I've always explained this way to people. It's a database of rules around batch scheduling, and then we interlink with the submit job command. So then the submit job command in the background is being used to launch your batch processes. This is just a standard IBM I command. Then we build date and time oriented around your batch processes and or event-driven dependencies. And really this is where your bang for your buck comes from, is being able to use the event-driven dependencies. Now, speaking of dependencies, they can be based on batch, end user jobs being submitted. So we can react or have a dependency or prerequisite based on one of your end users submitting a job. It could be a file being created in the library or the IFS, or could be on a Windows or Unix or Linux server with Robot Schedule Enterprise. And of course, it can be other jobs locally on that system or across those systems. We have special interfaces, as I said, to SAP, JD Edwards, Enterprise One with UBEs and BAPIs. Robot Schedule Enterprise as an optional component to run things on Unix, Linux, Windows. We run scripts, monitor files, monitor services, processes, end services, start processes, all those things. And then Robot Replay. Robot Replay is our tool, again, that runs and learns green screen interactive processes and basically launches them out of batch out of there. And of course, we also, with that, Robot provides all this history and audit information in the background as jobs run. Okay, Chuck, what are some typical business applications that we see or processes that people do through Robot?
Yeah. The automation and robot schedule can be far and wide. Typically, it's used in processes that run over, let's say, some ERP type application, inventory management application, distribution, transportation, so forth. So that's one of those questions that we have for the follow-up to this webinar is what business application are you automating with robot schedule? And our goal is to automate those mundane tasks, having an operator sitting there running individual steps, let's say from a menu. And when step one is done, then step two is executed. So we're talking about running those end of day processes that might not start until the off shift hours, 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, even overnight past midnight. Who wants to be sitting there in the middle of the night running those types of processes? So we're talking about end of day, end of week, end of month, end of year processes and automating those and starting with the daily processes. But other things that we see in robot schedule, of course, backups, cleanup jobs, various audit reports and security reports, automation of BI type reports like SQL. And I'll add to that, Tom, how about data extracts and file transfers and having all those integrate together and be dependent upon one another so that they execute it in the proper order at the proper time. And if something doesn't run properly, you find out about it. That's that whole auditing and job completion history.
Got it.
Right.
So Chuck, we're going to have you do a live demo now. So if I can switch over to your name and actually, let's see, we'll turn it over to the Chuck, the junior robot guy. All right, I love it. You should have control.
All right, all right, tell me when you can see my screen.
I'm not seeing it yet.
Okay.
So Chuck's going to go in and kind of show us how to navigate the green screen and the GUI. Still not seeing it, Chuck, and it could be that I have too many things going up. No luck? How about we do this? I'll take back control. And how about if we, okay, I'll make myself presenter and we'll show my screen. Okay. All right, let's see, make sure we're showing the right screen, screen number 2.
And I'll let you know when I can see your screen. Hang on a second.
All right. Do you want to see? So to get to robot schedule green screen, are you seeing that, Chuck?
I'm not.
You're not. Sharing screen 2. Too many things going on. Let me get rid of my email in the background. It looks like the audience is seeing that. So I know you were having a little bit of difficulty earlier. Yeah, the audience is seeing the green screen. You're not
Clint
seeing
says he sees it. Good. Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, so we're having a little issue with your end. So let me do this.
It just came up.
It did. Okay. Well, here we are in the job schedule area of the product on the green screen. So just to kind of back up here on a command line, if you have robot installed, you can just do RBO, take option 1 for robot schedule. And then in the robot schedule menu, this is where you have your options 1 through 7. You can see the scheduling objects, the schedule list, the control menu where you start and stop robot, system setup area for things like security, report menu, schedule forecast menu, and the audit menu. If I go into option 1, This is the job schedule list. This is where you can see your jobs. If I have a job called Tom, I just key in the word Tom. If I have something that starts with Chuck's Lazinski CL, I can do that. I have F9, I can search and look for jobs, change my search criteria. I could say I want to look for things by application. Maybe I have a sales application. I can find all the jobs that have the application of sales. So that's just a way of sorting. Now, anytime I'm working with a job, I have this option field here. I can press F4 and I can find the various screens. So if I want to see what command this job is using, I go to command entry. If I want to see the schedule of this job, I take that option. And now I can see this job runs on Mondays at 1:45 in the afternoon. I can have a description. There's my application. If I press F10 below, I can walk my way, toggle through the jobs. All right. So that's green screen. I don't want to spend a lot of time there because honestly, I very seldom use it anymore. I spend most of my time in this. So now you should be able to see the GUI. Chuck, is your system still running? So just an, the GUI is, it's an executable. So if I come down here, I'll see I have this GUI option 13 here. It's also on my desktop. I can launch it from there. By default, I'm connected to a system here, and you can build connection properties for the GUI by just simply adding one in here. I've connected to my system called Wisdom. I have my password out there. I can click on the tree here for jobs, and this is where I go to create new jobs. So I can do new, I can do filters to sort for jobs. So I can say show all my jobs that are on hold from here. A job on hold means it's not going to run. Of course, have that capability. And then as I work my way down, I have different types of jobs. I have my agent jobs if I have Robot Schedule Enterprise installed, and I can see those jobs in here. I got jobs by applications. Again, I could come down to that same sales application and see just the jobs for it. Group jobs, reactive jobs, we're going to cover those in a little detail later. But as you can see, this gets, we can close these windows down by just clicking on the little dialog here. If I right click here from the GUI, I can start and stop robot, clear completion codes, look at history, many other drop down functions. I can do my licensing from here. I can import, export jobs through the GUI from another system. As I roll through the top here, I have drop down menus where I can change my view. I don't know, let's see. I just very seldom play with this. I'll just change the background a little bit here. I have preferences I can set up on my GUI. I can have sound playing, and other functions. I usually don't play much with those. Certainly have built-in help. I can connect and disconnect the GUI. That doesn't stop Robot Schedule. It continues to run. And then a couple other things that are very helpful. I have ways of creating jobs from here. Creating robot jobs is the easiest way. They'll just walk you through what type of job you're doing, what's the name of the job that you're creating. Oh wait, we were gonna go with the job, I think, or something like that. So this is my first job, right? And I can put it in an application. I don't have to, I'm not going to. I can do my weekly scheduling. So I'm just gonna create something. Today is hump day. So every Wednesday, I'm gonna run this job, and we're gonna run it at, I don't know, say it's 9:19 my time. So I'm gonna run it at 9:20 today. We'll see it out there eventually. And standard job environments, I'm going to use a specific command here. So I can come in here and type in something like delay job, which I do a lot of. 10 seconds. I could add another command. I can even do things like asterisk this. Oops. My fingers are missing me up today. This is a comment, and do an asterisk like that, and next, and save. And now I've created a job. Okay. And I can finish. I could view the properties I want, but we'll come back to that job in a little bit. Just wanted to show you how easy that is. We also have, we can view that job schedule list green screen. So this kind of gives you a same look and feel of what the green screen was for those who are really tied to that when you get into the GUI. Here's the schedule activity monitor. This is something you just don't get in the green screen. This shows you your forecasted jobs, what's running, what's recently completed in Robot Schedule. Very, very handy thing. We'll dive into that a little later. And then we also have, we can view event history, job completion history. Every time a job runs in Robot Schedule, we create a record with the history of it. And we'll see the job one ran already that I just created. A miracle how fast Robot picks up on things. And I could drill into things like the spool files and the job logs associated with the job, or even history log if I wanted to for that job, and see what it is. So this is just, I just wanted to give you a feel for navigating. If you're new to Robot Schedule, you're going to go slow. You're going to walk you through time, walk through those things. You know, looking at the history logs, a little bit of a heavy thing to do. Probably shouldn't have taken that option, but that'll show you your log, or your job log is probably a more realistic thing to do. So here's our job log. Very exciting. You can see that in the GUI. I can highlight, right click, select all these things. That's the nice thing about the GUI. I can copy this stuff to clipboards. I could take all these here, all the history for today, select all of it, copy it, put it into my clipboard, and then you know, put it into a spreadsheet for my manager. All right. Enough said there. Let's stop sharing that. Let's go back to the GUI.
And Tom, my video looks like is caught up with you, the joys of working from home.
Yeah, there we go. Sometimes that happens. So
Thanks for jumping in.
Chuck, that was an awesome demo, Chuck. Great job on that. Let's
couldn't have done it better myself.
Yeah, so let's talk about adding jobs to Robot Schedule. There's many different ways that jobs can be get into Robot Schedule, and that's sometimes a very confusing thing for people. You can do F6 from the green screen. There's a command called robot start learn that a lot of people aren't familiar with, but this gives you the ability to capture things that are happening behind the scenes in your menu system via submit job. So I can do robot start learn and basically have it build a job out of a job from a green screen. We have the RBT convert schedule entries. This will read jobs in from work job schedule entry for those of you who have some things in there you want to put in robot. We also can take and convert people from advanced job scheduler in the robot schedule. And we do have people that do that because there are more advanced features, or maybe they want to extend their scheduling from IBMI to Windows, Unix, and Linux. You can't do that in advanced job scheduler very well. And then of course the GUI, I can right click, I can F6, there's the wizard, there's the guide. I just kind of showed you some of those things. I got ahead of myself a little bit, Chuck. I often do that. The good news about all this is that you can see all these jobs, you know, you can see them in both spots. And then also there's security, you can secure your jobs, and there's also auditing. You can see who changed what inside of Robot Schedule. All right, so then we have the scheduling of jobs. Okay, so when we think of scheduling, of course, we think of date and time and calendaring kind of things. And Robot, you know, it's been around really since 1982. It was a founding product for help systems. And certainly we can run jobs by time and day of the week. We also can do weekly things like last day of the month, first day of the month, second, third scheduling. We can do up to 8 times per job. We can do incremental scheduling where we can say run something every so many days based on working, standard, or non-working calendars. So calendaring comes into play. We'll talk about that in a bit. As you create a job, you literally, every job you create could have a calendar. Now, most customers don't do that. They usually have 1 or 2 calendars at most, a standard calendar and a fiscal holiday-based kind of calendar. We have every jobs for intervals. So instead of having all those never-ending jobs that are out there running all the time, we can submit a job every minute, every 5 minutes, every 15 minutes. We can also do it between exception scheduling, where we can say, run this every 15 minutes only on Tuesdays between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. We can do specific dates. We have a feature called date objects that gives you the ability to run on certain dates, and and times, of course. And then one of my favorite features is the day number feature, where we can say run something on -1, -5, 1, 15, 8, whatever the day number of the month is. And that can be based on a standard calendar, a working, non-working, or fiscal type set of dates. So I can say run this on the 5th working day of the month, basically. All right, a lot to chew on there, but these are scheduling options in Robot Schedule. How about calendars? You know, one of our longtime customers is Alpine Bank, and they've been using Robot Schedule for years, and they really like working with the calendars and exception-based scheduling that it gives them in the job monitor features of Robot Schedule, company based out of Colorado. Makes sense. Alpine Bank. What do you think, Chuck? What about the importance of calendars, Chuck?
Yeah. Well, I just spoke with Alpine Bank, and the deal there is, of course, they're a bank, and they have a lot of Monday holidays or bank holidays. So there's certain jobs that they don't want to run based on a calendar. So with a calendar, you could identify those dates or period end dates where you either want to run a job or you don't want to run a job. So that could be based on a fiscal calendar, all right? So those would identify those dates that you want to run your robot jobs. On the other hand, you might have holidays where you don't want to run jobs. Likewise, calendars can be defined on individual jobs, or they can be defined globally, all right? You can actually put your calendar on what's called a job environment, and that job environment can be applied to one or multiple jobs. And then as you change your calendar, all those jobs using that environment can take advantage of the dates defined on the calendar. Your options for running a job or not, you could say, for instance, if a job run day is a holiday, like a Monday holiday, you could simply tell that job, I want to run the day before or the day after. So either now run the day before or the day after.
Yeah.
And likewise, Tom, one of the things I've been seeing out there when I do health checks is I don't see a lot of folks that are using the job monitors, long run, short run, or
Oh,
have jobs started by a certain time. So that's important to keep that in mind as well.
yeah. And there are background commands that you can use to actually automate the process of switching calendars. So again, probably an advanced topic for robot for the beginners, but oh well, we've done it all and seen it all. So Chuck, what do you think about the properties of a job as we talk about here?
Yeah, Yeah, big advantage to putting your jobs into the robot versus having them in just, for instance, the native scheduler is that you've got a lot of options for documenting your jobs. You've got things like the application name, you've got job notes, you've got other things that you can put into your job so that folks down the line, a year from now, 10 years from now, know exactly what you did. As far as the command entry goes, you got some big advantages there. You can put multiple commands into your robot jobs. You can add variables, we call them reserved command variables, into your robot jobs, date parameters and so forth. We have a command finder. So if you've got a command from another job, pretty easy just to copy that command in from another job. Output options, Tom's going to spend some time talking about output options a bit later in the presentation, but that's for doing some report distribution from within a robot schedule job. The control options are super important, and that's where job environments come in. Job environments can be defined where you define all the work management parameters, even things like who should be notified via robot alert, but job queues, job descriptor, library lists, and so forth. Those all go in the control options. Exception scheduling, that would be, for instance, where you don't want to run a job. I don't want to run on holidays. I want to run the day after a holiday and so forth. And then that job monitor option, that's defined at the job level, job overrun, underrun, late start, and actions you can take for those.
Hey Chuck, I sent you a chat, but maybe can you use your cell phone for audio?
Sure.
Because you're getting a
Right.
little gargled otherwise.
Choppy?
So yeah, a little choppy. So I think we had a couple comments to that effect. So let's talk report distribution next. As we look at a job, and Chuck just went through all these different properties. So you're looking at the GUI here. There's a tab for each of these properties. You just simply click on it and you're at that property. Well, one of the features that we have and have for many years is output control. And this gives you the ability to put your spool data, your report data on an output queue with print text and number of copies and printing priorities and stuff like that if you're doing that still today, which is hard. Or we have report distribution. Again, This in the green screen's been in there for many years. It gives you the ability to duplicate your report off to multiple output queues if you need to. But then we also have the ability to not use that. We can go into robot reports, and that does a full-blown kind of report bursting, archiving, distribution, PDFing of spool files, HTML spool files. Robot reports gives you the ability to help automate so that you're not printing, which in today's world is probably more of the reality. But that's something I thought was important to show. All right, so over to live demo. While Chuck's fixing up his audio here, I'm going to get rid of our PowerPoint and we'll go back to robot schedule. And what I want to do is show you green screen first. Not that that's the most important place to be, but in robot schedule, we were in the green screen. We showed you how to add a job earlier. And let's see, did we do that in the GUI? Yeah, we did that in the GUI. So in the green screen, to add a job, you're simply going to use F6. Right down here is that option. If I do F24, which is F12, I can see many other things. I got a command line in here, etc. But F6, if I press F6, it gives me a blank screen, and we'll create the job number 2. This is second job. And again, we'll put it in that sales application. I could put some additional notes in here, but for time and everything else, I'm just not going to do that. 09, let's see, 33, we'll put this job at. And again, favorite day of the week, it's middle of the week, it's Wednesday. We do have the schedule override codes down here. This gives me, if I prompt this, gives me ability to force jobs to run with do special for those jobs with reactivity. I have a hold application. And I have an omit, and I have a release of a job and remove override, a release of the application, remove override. I'm not going to use any of those because I just want to create my job, but I did want to show those to you. So F10, again, we can do whatever command we want here. I just happen to be working on my typing exercise, and boy, I'm messing it up now. But we can do a command like that. So that's just an IBMI command, work active job, press F4. I can see all the parameters. This is just standard IBMI kind of stuff, prompting through commands. We talk all about commands in your Inheriting IBMI webinar that we did last week. Now scheduling, let's change this one up a little bit. I'm going to say I want to make this an every job, and I want to run this every 5 minutes. So I'm going to do a work active job every 5 minutes. Chuck, we should probably remember to put that one on hold when you get back with us. And then I can do things. What job queue do I want to go to? I can put that in here. And well, I think that one's in QGPL. And I can also specify a specific user profile if I'm authorized to do that, and hit enter there, press F10. I have the job monitor features, and now I'm back to the job. We can see the job already ran on me because I talked too long while I was doing it. And if I wanted to find that job, I could come into my application again, type in sales, and there it is. This is a job that we just created. It's running every 5 minutes. Okay, so that is green screen F6. Also in the green screen, if we go, I'm going to call a QCMD, kind of a fun little thing. Here's a command line prompt. And let's see. First thing I want to do is start robot start. Oh wait, sorry, robot start learn. All right. This is a command on the system. If I hit enter here, this is going to put us in what we call learn mode. So I did have a SMIT job in here. So here's the SMIT job command. And I want to call and create a job called the job 3. And when I hit enter, robot schedule is going to say it's already there because I did this earlier just to make sure it all worked for me. And what's going to happen is this all of a sudden captured this job and put it into a command line. And I'm not going to put a time on it or anything like that. And we're going to leave it on hold for right now. All right. So that job, just to show you how it works, it captured my SMIT job. Just to give you even a little better feel for this, if I go into one of my other products, Robot Console, green screen, I go into the message history feature. Let's see, I want to select a report. I want to come down and grab my good morning report. And I want to say I want 7 days, hit enter. and it's going to capture, okay, the job 99. And now it's created a job inside the same green screen. So Robot Learn allows you to capture jobs from the green screen, right? And now it's created a job out there. Okay, now that's pretty fast. We also have the, boy, can never remember all the syntax here on everything, top of my head, especially while I'm still talking. So if we do work job schedule entry, we'll see we have some jobs out there. Okay, and I have a job called this job 5. I want to put that in robot schedule. So I have the RBT CVTSCDE command in robot lib, and I can have it, I could select all jobs, or I could just choose the job I want to convert. And I want this job 5. I hit enter, and what it's going to tell me is that I've created that job. All right, so that's all done through green screen. If I go over to my GUI now and I open up my screen here and look at all jobs, I should see these same jobs that I just created. So if I create and type in, I'm going to just slide this down here a little bit, Chuck. So we should see I've created the job 1, the job 2, the job 3, the job 33, the job 99. I did do this job 5. I learned that in from there. All right. So that's just, and again, if I wanted to create a new job, all I do is right click, press, take the new job feature in here from the GUI, and I can create jobs from the GUI also by just doing the right click new job, or I can use my wizard and my guide up here on top. Okay. Oops, I grabbed the wrong GUI. Oh well. So then I could create a new job up here, the job 4, and I'm not going to do a whole lot with it. I'm just going to make a very simple delay job 5 seconds in this case, press OK, and then that's going to create that job. So we'll have another job out here. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're building up for what we call reactive jobs or dependencies. So more to come. All right, back to our PowerPoint. And Chuck, are you back with?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, that's much better. Much better.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
You might have to do the demo, but let's talk about dependencies, because this is a huge part of the product. And in some cases, I think it's a little bit underutilized at some of the customer locations that I do some health checks on. So what can you do with dependencies? So there's 2 types of dependency processing inside of Robot Schedule. One is called group jobs, and the other one is called reactive jobs. Group jobs is unique to Robot Schedule. Group job is a type of job in Robot Schedule that contains individual real robot jobs that will run. So it's a way to collect jobs together in a logical grouping. Your group job could be, for instance, your end of day jobs. It could be your manufacturing inventory update or sales reporting jobs, all grouped together in a single group job. That group job can be scheduled. That group job can have dependencies. And there's 2 types of group jobs. A group job can run single-threaded automatically, no need to worry about a single-threaded job queue, or it can simply blast all of its jobs out to all their respective job queues immediately. And you can even have some qualifications on individual group job members as to when they're going to run. Okay, so that's group jobs, very unique feature of Robot Schedule. Reactive jobs is our dependency processing. So a reactive job has some type of dependency on it. That dependency could be a job on the same partition. It could be a job from another partition. It could be a job completing just from the submit job command. So we can actually react to a job inside a robot from a job that ran outside of robot. We can also have dependencies out on other platforms when you have the enterprise component added into Robot Schedule, so Windows, Linux, AIX, and so forth. We can also have file dependencies, and it could be IFS or library. Now, those file dependencies could also extend out to the Windows world, and
Yeah,
we can
Chuck,
do file
I'm playing on
transfers.
that. a point on
Yeah.
that is you're only going to see that in the GUI. You won't see that feature in the green screen. So there are other reasons for using the GUI, and here's one of them.
Yeah, and like you said, I use the GUI all the time. I don't really even think too much about the green screen quite so much anymore. But anyway, with the reactive job dependency processing, you're able to make your schedule very flexible to fit the needs of the business, to fit the way that those applications are supposed to run. All right. So
Okay.
that's group jobs and dependency jobs. Let's go to the next screen, please.
Yep.
All right. So a reactive job simply has a dependency. All right. It's the reactive or event-driven dependency could either be what I would call a straightaway dependency. So as soon as the prerequisite job is completed, it's going to execute the next task in line. Or you can combine it with other scheduling methodologies. So for instance, a day of the week and a time of the day. So your prerequisite job finishes at 8 in the morning. Your dependent job might not run until 6 o'clock at night. All right. And the reactivity that unfortunately, well, I should say maybe fortunately, Tom is going to have to demonstrate for you today can be combined in,
Hey, easy.
in and or logic, meaning if I have a prerequisite job that completes normally, I'm going to go this way. If I have a prerequisite job that terminates, I'm going to go off in another direction. Or I could have job A and job B or job C complete, and that's going to trigger my downstream dependency. All right, so a lot of flexibility, and I think that's the big advantage here in Robot Schedule. And I think a little bit too much discrete scheduling out there quite often. So I think by taking advantage of reactive jobs, what you're gaining is the best use of the resources on your system. All right, there's no delays between processing job steps. You can immediately run the next step without having to put in a discrete time. All right. Group jobs, on the other hand, group jobs are a unique feature of Robot Schedule. It's a collection of individual robot jobs that will actually run on your system. The group job, you'll never see that out there running on your system. It controls the individual jobs. Those group jobs in Robot can be scheduled. You'll see them in your job flow diagram. You'll see them in your blueprint and so forth. Those group jobs can have dependencies. A group job can react to another group job, or it can react to an event, or it can, et cetera. It can react just like another reactive job. And then the individual group members have flexibility. Okay, so the individual group members, they could run outside of the group. They could run inside of the group. They can also have additional exception scheduling placed upon them. So for instance, maybe there's a job that in the group that I don't want to run on Wednesday, but the rest of the group runs Monday through Friday. All right. You could schedule that type of exception scheduling on an individual job inside of a group. And another unique feature is that an individual job could be part of multiple groups. So if it's a similar job, no reason to have one job or three jobs that all do the same thing.
So Chuck, let's just try it again. I'll see if I can make you presenter, and maybe this time Mr. GoToMeeting or Mrs. GoToMeeting will behave themselves. All right.
All right, let's try sharing screen 2. All right, tell me when you can see my screen. Oh.
We're not seeing it. All right.
Well, all right.
There we go.
Shoot. Okay. Didn't reboot last night, Tom. Maybe that was it.
Yeah, always reboot every day. I think the biggest challenge today in this work from home is just the fact that when we're doing things like this and we're sharing screens and stuff like that, it just really makes it tough. Okay, so you should see my screen navigating. Well,
Yep.
actually, no. Let's
looks good.
go to the demo here. All right, so we wanted to show reactive jobs. I want to bring up my other desktop here. Okay, so now you should be seeing my Robotic Schedule Explorer, Chuck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, And remember, we created a series of jobs, and I did a fairly good job of remembering if I was going with this job or the job. But we'll see we have, job 33, 3, 9, 4, or 5 rather, this job 5 that are all created out there already. If I wanted to make those reactive, I can do that by simply coming down here, and we'll start with job 3 here. Oh wait, that's why I'm missing some of my jobs, Chuck. I want to show all my jobs. I was showing jobs that were on hold, guys. So that's, hey, when you all of a sudden come into robot and you go, I'm not seeing the jobs I expect to see.
Perfect example.
A perfect example here. I was like, this job 1, 2, 3. You try to do this live, okay? It's not as easy as you think. But let's just say we want job 1 to run, and then I want job 2 to run. So I'm going to go into the properties of job 2, and I'm going to make it a reactive job. And all I have to do is come in and say, I want to add another robot job. Oh, I went really fast here, sorry. So I'm on the reactivity panel. I should probably look around a little bit. We can react to a robot job. I can react to a job on another partition if they have robot network. I can react to a batch job. So when an end user submits a job from a menu system, I can intercept and react to the 10-character job name on IBMI. I can do an agent event. If I have Robot Schedule Enterprise, I can react to file monitoring, processes, jobs that are running over, files and directories and services and daemons in the Windows and Unix, Linux world. Add event is going to react to files being created on IBMI in a library or in a IFS, all right? We're gonna keep it fairly simple today. I wanna react to a job, and I wanna react to the job number 1. So when job number 1 finishes, this job's going to run. So we're gonna just do that. Okay, I made this in every job, Chuck. So let's get rid of that. We'll just blank out the schedule, give it no schedule. So a reactive job, what we're seeing here, can be totally event driven. So I've changed every job into being reactive, and notice it's got a little arrow here. So let's do that again. I'm gonna go into my second job, the job 3, and I'm also gonna go to reactivity here. I'm gonna say I wanna make this job reactive on job number 2. So I'll come down here, and the job 2 is going to be my prerequisite for job 3. Okay, so I hit enter, and the reactivity gets a little more complicated, and I have job 4. And let's say I'm going to make this one just a little more complicated because I want to use the and logic inside of reactivity. So now I come to reactivity and I say I want to make that job react to job number 3. And I want to also make it react to the job number 33. Okay, so now this is an and or logic for job 4. Okay, all right, so now we have our job. I don't have Insight running. Chuck, do you have Insight up and running? I guess I can launch it over on my other side here. And we'll show you this in dependencies here while that's logging up. But now if I go and I force this job to run, so I can force the job right now. I'm gonna say go, okay? And what I can do is I can go into the completion history and I can watch today's activity. So this window, let's make it full screen. We can see it's running the job 1. And hopefully my delay or whatever I'm doing there doesn't take too long, but job 1 finished. Then it ran job 2, right? And it should be kicking off job 3 here in a little bit. And once that finishes, then it'll run the next process, okay? So reactivity strings jobs together, and I'm gonna run out of time here. So the other option we have is group jobs, all right? So I can create a new job called a group, and this allows me to group common things together like a end of day, the job group, okay? And for scheduling, I'm going to make this a group job. All right. And then with that, I could put it into an application, but it's end of day, the job group. Scheduling wise, I could say I want to run this again on my favorite day of the week, Wednesday. At now we're looking at 9:51 or 52. And then my group members, I can come in here and I can say I want to add my jobs to this. And I'm going to choose those same jobs. And I could add these 3, 4, 5 jobs in there. And now I put these all in a group. If I go back to my initial job scheduling, we have these group control options. Use group control options for all jobs. That controls your work management. The next one is start date. And the other options down below here are group processing. I can submit all the jobs immediately. So when end of day comes around and my scheduling hits 9:52, it's going to submit them all off the batch all at once. We kind of refer to that as the multi-threaded approach to submitting things. Otherwise, we can say one job at a time. So if I do this, it's going to process job 1. When job 1 finishes, then job 2, and then job 3, and then job 4. And that's all I can show you there. Let's go back to the PowerPoint and can continue on with a few more things. We have job completion history, reports, activity. So job completion history, again, one of my favorite things about Robot Schedule is I can right click on a job and I can see the history of the job right from Robot. I can go into job logs. I can go into history logs. I can right click and work with the job. I can see the spool files generated. I can copy all this information to a spreadsheet. There's a filter feature. There's a drop down here that we didn't show you, but you can do like today's activity, jobs that ended normally, abnormally. There's many different sort and filtering. Maybe you want to just filter out and pinpoint 5, 10 jobs. I always say every night processing has 5 or 10 or 20 jobs that are the critical ones that we need to monitor and we want reporting on. We can do that. We also have run duration in here, all used by Robot Schedule. And then we got the reporting area. Off the GUI, you have reports. I got many different schedule reports like forecasting, unused jobs, jobs that haven't run for a long time. So those who want to clean up Robot Schedule, they inherited it and their predecessor people just put everything on hold. It's one of my least favorite things. I like when people clean up. We have the cross-system reactivity reports, the command list, the job record list. This basically will dump out the definitions of your Robot Schedule jobs. We have event history, good morning report. A lot of auditors use the good morning report when they audit IT. When we have our system setup reports, like our audit log report and our security reports and our general defaults, all very good things. Schedule activity monitor, just off the GUI. This is in the GUI or the browser. This gives you the ability to see what's forecasted, what's running, and what's recently completed. If you're somebody who has to monitor Robot Schedule, you should become familiar with Schedule Activity Monitor. It is very helpful. It has a built-in internal forecast that gets built all the time automatically by Robot Schedule, and then drill down capability to go into things like history logs, spool files, etc. And then Schedule Blueprint. We haven't talked about that. So I created those jobs that are reactive and related. I can right click on the job. And if I bring back my GUI here again, any of those jobs that I've just created. So if I wanted to, let's see, I think I have to refresh the screen here. So we're back in the GUI again. And if I come to my group jobs and I find the group, what did I thought I called it the group. Oh no, end of day, the group. And if I right click on that group job, I can create what we call as a blueprint. And that will create a flow chart within the GUI of your jobs. Now that can get a little hairy, you got to work with those, but once you got them set up, it's really quite nice. I could also have done the same thing by coming down here and right clicking on this job. I could build a blueprint from here too. And that's in the GUI. We also have that similar technology inside of the browser that where Robot Schedule's at, and I can bring up my group jobs over there, and that gives me the ability to see those processes. Okay. All right, so back to the PowerPoint here, Chuck.
All right. We'll let you rest your vocal cords for a minute, and we'll just talk about some additional advanced features and interfaces.
There we go.
All right, integration. So we talked about calendars a little bit. There's something called a date object. You can have either a run date object or a do not run date object, and that identifies dates, simply dates that you want to run a robot job on. All right, it might not be a particular day number, but it could be, let's say, the 23rd of March and the 16th of April and the 10th of May. All right, reserved command variables, that's a whole class unto itself and covered thoroughly in our education session, but that's a super powerful feature of robot, allowing you to dynamically substitute in a command or in the parameter of a call statement for instance, calculating a date, or actually pulling in other values even from your application or a control file. Or there's a lot of options there that you can dive into. Opal allows you to check what's happening on your system. Is a subsystem active? Is a job active? And that qualifies whether or not your job gets submitted. You could say, for instance, in your Opal, okay, if this subsystem isn't ended, then I want to wait 5 minutes before I run my robot job. Or if there's another job active, I want to wait. All right, that's called Opal. It's a way to qualify. It's a scripting language. There's also built-in commands for doing things like holding and releasing jobs, and there's other commands to do similar things like switching calendars. So take a look at those commands in Robot. Super powerful feature of Robot is auditing. This will help you pass those IT audit tests, if you will, that say, well, can you prove who changed a particular robot job? All right, that's built in. And then, of course, you can turn on robot schedule security to prevent individuals from even going into robot to make a change. You can give them a view only of robot schedule.
And then we have many other integrations I've talked about already: Robot Replay, Robot Reports, Robot Schedule Enterprise. We run many batch processes. We've also got integration with some of our other non-IBMI products like Automate for doing RPA and checking mailboxes. Certainly people who have SQL, our Query BI product, run those through Robot. Our PowerTech division, their security reporting batch processes run through here. And we talked about Oracle and JD Edwards already too, so no reason to do that. Chuck, over to you to hit us up on another polling question. And while you're doing that, I'm also going to just show people, I'll bring up Insight in the background too.
All right, and the polling question is, how can we help you? Would you like some schedule training, professional services, a personalized demo? If you're not a robot schedule client, would you like a trial version? And then, of course, we can do a tech update conversation where we talk about the products that you own and what their roadmap is and some of the other functional areas that we do on I and off of I.
Yeah, so while that poll's open, oh, that's true, I can't share my screen while that's going on, but I'll bring up Insight in a little bit. It's another thing that's free. Chuck, somebody asked about the GUI and where you get that from. Where do you get the GUI from?
Yeah, and I've been answering some of those questions as we go on here. So the GUI is available from the community portal. All right, so community.helpsystems.com. You can download all your updates from there. You can download the GUI from there. We've had some questions. Is the GUI and the green screen mutually exclusive? Can you use one or the other or both? And absolutely, you can use both of them at the same time. They're not mutually exclusive. There's a question, how do you launch the GUI? Once the GUI is installed, you'll see it under the Help Systems group of products in your Windows menu. There were some questions about job monitors, and that's one of those things that I highly recommend you do some experimentation with, see how exactly they work and what sort of actions you want those job monitors to take. Remember, job monitors put an entry into the job completion history, so you actually have a record of what job monitors were triggered.
Chuck, let's have you close that poll so we can kind of move on to the
All right.
rest of the deck here. Okay. Yeah. So, just remember with Help Systems, we certainly help you with your robot schedule needs, but we can do backup and recovery, HA technology for you, document management, cybersecurity, monitoring, business intelligence, capacity planning for your next upgrade. And of course, we talked a lot about automation. And Help Systems as a general, we are not just IBM I anymore, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending upon what your vantage point is. We do many other platforms, Unix, Linux, and Windows. They do exist. Yes, you have those in your, very much so in your data centers. And we can help you with cybersecurity and automation on those platforms too. And the good thing about Help Systems, we can integrate both of them together. So I'll leave that screen up there while we do some more Q&A. And then also I wanted to bring up Insight, Chuck, in the background here. Insight
Go for it.
is, how much is Insight?
It's free.
Free. Okay, so Insight is what I'm in right now. It's a HTTP server, loads up on a Windows server or Linux server. Here's Schedule Activity Monitor. We built out a few of those jobs earlier today. Actually, I should click here. And if I type in under the job, and hit TH here, it should take us down. Oh, okay. Why did it not take me there? Well, anyways, we can find the job 1 here. And I clicked on that job. It's going to take me into the properties of it. So you can see all the jobs and stuff through the browser interface too. And the thing I wanted to show you is if I click here, I can actually diagram the jobs. So it's another way of looking at flow charting through the robot product line is to use Insight. And I actually think the flow charting is much more helpful here. We can see this is the job stream we created earlier today. I can click on these plus signs and expand things out as we go from here. Okay. And then here, there. So now shrink it down so I can see the whole thing. If I want, I can export this image and by clicking on this. So very, very helpful. All right. And there's our image I just exported. All right. Let's see, back to the PowerPoint. And I think we're right at the, oh gosh, we're over top of the hour, Chuck. How did that ever happen? Having too much fun. Any other great questions we need to cover, or should we maybe follow up?
I think we should follow up. I answered a few of them and shared them out to the audience. Otherwise, I think we've covered it, Tom. Good job.
All right. Yeah, so whirlwind tour. Apologize for a little audio issues along the way, but we thank you so much for joining us. And this was recorded, and you will be able to watch it in its entirety at a later point in time. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and I hope you found this to be valuable to you.
Yep. Bye-bye.